I am a stand-up comedian and I do belong to that community and I do believe in holding people accountable, including myself. I said a joke on the Young Turks that was received by some people as being transphobic. And I didn't, my joke didn't come from the perspective of attacking trans people, but defending them because I was talking about Caitlyn Jenner and how Caitlyn Jenner has used her privilege to exploit the trans experience. And there are people who are poor who don't have the benefit of what Caitlyn Jenner has, who are Black, who are Latino, who are living on the streets. And so that's what fueled the joke. But I'm going to share the joke with you right now quickly. And I want all of you to tell me if you feel like if it's a transphobic joke, so I can retire it because I have not, because I have a certain animus toward the Kardashian evil establishment. But the joke was that I felt that Kris Jenner is a pimp and she keeps all of her children. That she made vagina so lucrative in that household, she made Bruce Jenner want to go get one. I saw Ashlee's face. You can be even.
You knew the answer though when you asked.
No. Well, this is the condescending thing that people who don't belong to the groups do, right? Because in my mind, I'm speaking out against someone who's exploiting trans people. But I had Charlemagne on the show, and I addressed Charlemagne's trans phobic commentary, right? We had that conversation. I'm not exempt from that because as I think about it now, because I'm having a conversation with trans human beings, that dehumanizes trans women, that it trivializes the sexuality of trans people. And even though I think I'm telling the joke, I'm using myself as an example and putting myself on the line because I feel like it's a teaching moment for straight people, cis people, or the people who make jokes about gay people and trans people or whatever. It never dawned on me that I was doing that. And I thought I was championing trans people, and it didn't help that some trans people would support the joke without me thinking that there are some self-hating trans people. So I just want you to tell me because I am not beyond correction.
Yeah, I mean, it's transphobic. You dead name Caitlyn, and you also make it about what's between her legs, which is like counter what the point is,
Okay.
So
I think the other piece too is that, and it wasn't just you, and I appreciate you being, open and kind of like putting it out there. I saw a lot of LGBTQ folks do that shit too. Like where they were just like, oh, her old name. And it's just like, okay, but if you do that shit to her, you will do that shit to me. All it takes is for me to say one thing. And I even saw other trans folks being like, well, yeah, that's different, Caitlyn. And it's like, but is it really? Because when when it's all said and done, Caitlyn's going to be safe, tucked away up in that mansion in Malibu. We're not. And so we're going to catch the fallout of whatever happens with people's, conflation of trans identity with, being counterfeit.
And being real about it that's what matters to me because I don't give a fuck about Caitlyn Jenner. But because you said that, and that not Caitlyn Jenner because she's trans, or not Kris Jenner because she's a woman, but because of all of this space that they take up and soak up when we have so many issues when it comes to the Black people, the Latinx people, and all this stuff. But because of I've had interactions, and I'm just going to leave it there. But it does matter to me how what I say affects you, every person on this panel, because I consider you my friends, and your lives matter to me. So if me saying that, even though I'm attacking Caitlyn, it's going to trickle down and affect your everyday life, then the joke is dead. And that's what I think we need to do because. I mean, I'm not beyond correction,
Well, I think the whole thing is when we think about comedy historically, comedy was meant to punch up, not down. And so this is the same conversation that I've been having with, Lil Duval's camp and all of them, is that it's kind of just like when we think about punching up, we think about the ruling class. We think about folks who have the power to destroy us and kill us and have been doing so with impunity. And trans people don't have that kind of power. We don't have, just like when people say like Black folks are racist, You know, like we can't be in that sense. We can be biased. We can be, express bigotry, but we can't be racist because that is a system based on power and the oppression of marginalized folks, and we just don't have that power. So when we actually drag transhumans through the mud for at the expense of someone else's idea of humor, we're driving another bullet through their chest, or taking another slice of the blade at their necks, and so I think that it does require consciousness and just understanding that that those words live in the space for a very long time, and it takes us, each time we tell a joke like that, it could have a 5 or 10 year shelf life, you know what I mean, that takes all of our lives.
Well, so I make it my business not to apologize as a comedian, because for me, it's important that we hold the space where comedians can say things that do push the envelope, but at the same time are accountable for the things that we say. And so I apologize to you, because if I said something that will put you in danger, people who I care about as human beings, I certainly have to own that. And when you said, Ashlee, you're not who you were 10 years ago. That joke is a joke that I wrote 10 years ago now. So when Kevin Hart apologized, and he is not who he was 10 years ago, does Kevin Hart also get his apology accepted? How long is the penance? And I say that with everybody, because the thing is that if we don't have a room for growth and grace and empathy, and because I do think that Kevin, I know people who don't have any regard for trans people or gay people in the comedy community. Those are the same people who don't give a shit about Black people and brown people and indigenous. They tend to be the same people who all they do is talk shit about every single group and call it comedy. But I don't think Kevin Hart is one of those people. So when I and Kai, you're beholden to a fraternity, if you will, of people who usually say things that are offensive, and a lot of people use comedy as a tool to educate people. I want to know, how do people who have said things like myself, who have been insensitive to the community, start building, healthy relationships with the trans community and creating trust, so that they can believe that, like myself, is a true ally?
Well, I think we need to not cancel people so immediately. And this may be controversial to a lot. I don't want to look at the comments, but
I turned it off because I was going to dive in like Trey Songz. I think
I think we need to engage in conversation and educate. And if we cancel people too immediate, we're missing the opportunity to do that, and in turn becoming the oppressor that we're fighting against. So if we're not talking, we're not learning, and people are going to retreat even further to ask questions. So we need to sort of, like, everybody just needs to listen a little more gently.
If you say something fucked up, apologize and mean it, but also don't expect everyone to accept your apology, because you should always have the option to put your apology out there. But just like in life, if you do someone dirty, they're not entitled to accept your apology.